South Park. I don't think I need to introduce South Park to any of you. Everybody knows what it is. Children, adults, dogs, cats, hippies. They've all seen at least one episode from this classic cartoon. South Park has been on the air since 1997 and is still going strong to this day. At least I think it is. I'm an avid viewer of the show, to be honest. I've only seen up to season 9 at the time of writing this segment of the video. I'll probably be watching more of it by the time I finish this review. As far as I know, I don't think South Park has been afflicted with seasonal rot as badly as some of the other shows that have been on the air for a while, like The Simpsons or Family Guy. But look, I'm not here to talk about the show. I'm here to talk about the video games based on the show. Now, the first thing that tends to come to mind when thinking about South Park video games is probably either the Stick of Truth or the Fractured Butthole. I actually played the Stick of Truth when I had very little knowledge of the show, so like 90% of the references I didn't get, but I still really enjoyed the game. It's a simple turn-based RPG, but with the South Park charm thrown into the mix. Fractured Butthole, on the other hand, I sadly haven't played. Maybe one day I'll give it a shot when it goes on sale, but for now it's gonna have to wait. But as you can probably guess if you looked at the title of the video, I'm not gonna be looking at those games. Instead, I'm going to be looking at the old crusty South Park games. Back in the late 90s to the early 2000s, a few games based on South Park were released for the current consoles at the time, like the N64 and the PlayStation. If you were a kid around this time, you've probably played at least one of these crusty classics. The games consist of South Park, Chef's Luv Shack, and South Park Rally. These games received mixed and negative reviews back then by critics, most of them stating that they get stale very quickly. But hey, I don't tend to listen to critics. I judge the games myself. So how about we take a look at these games? I'm going to start with South Park first because it's the first one I played and the game a majority of other people have played too. I'll admit the title of the game is kinda lame. There's no subtitle or anything. It's simply called South Park. Fun fact, this is actually the first M-rated game I've ever played, so this game holds a special place in my heart. That was of course the PlayStation version, however. The main focus will be on the N64 version, but I'll refer back to this one later. The game opens up with the recreation of the intro, except that it's in 3D, woo! It's actually not that bad. We are also introduced to the plot. This green comet is hurtling towards Earth, and the trajectory is heading straight towards South Park, Colorado, of course. When this comet hits, all kinds of crazy spooky stuff is gonna happen.
Spooky like how?
Spooky like you better get your asses indoors, children. I'm not kidding. Our lives are in danger!
I now get to choose who I like to play as. The boys don't have different stats, and in the long run it really doesn't matter. You just pick the one you want to hear the most dialogue from. The boys do talk a lot in-game, and they'll repeat dialogue all the time. There's no way to turn off voices, so if you think you're going to get annoyed by this, just play Kenny. For this playthrough though, I chose Cartman because
Egg is cool.
So, South Park is a first-person shooter, interestingly enough, and the main goal of each level is just to reach the end. Along the way, you'll kill a variety of different enemies like turkeys, clones, cows, etc., with a variety of different weapons. The first thing that bothers me are the controls. I'm not going to blame the game for this because a majority of FPS games on the Nintendo 64 age poorly in terms of controls. There are two control schemes, referred to as Turok and Brown Eye. Of course, they are in reference to Turok and GoldenEye. I stuck with the Turok control style because the brown-eyed style was a little funky to use for me. The game was developed by Iguana, who also made Turok, so this style worked a bit better in my opinion. Also, through this entire playthrough, I play like complete ass because I never got used to the aiming. I was using the Brawler 64 controller, which is not as sensitive as the standard controller, but my normal control is a little funky. But I digress. The game consists of 5 episodes with 3 to 4 stages in each one. Episode 1 has you fight hordes of turkeys with some interesting weapons. So the default weapon you start out with are snowballs. They have infinite ammo and are thrown at a consistent speed, making them great for killing these turkeys who die in one hit. It might seem like they're overpowered for the first episode, but man do these things get worse later in the game. You'll come across other weapons like dodgeballs, plunger guns, Nerf guns, the works. Since they're kids, they don't have access to actual firearms, which would make things way easier, but what can you do? The weapons range from good to mediocre. I think my favorite weapon is the Super Sniper Chicken, which is of course this game's version of a normal rifle. It does a crapload of damage and kills most enemies in 3 or less hits. I also got a kick out of the Terrence and Phillip dolls, which acts like gas grenades and are good for larger targets. Of course, not every weapon was great. I didn't like the cow launcher that much. It was pretty much a slower version of the Terrence and Phillip dolls. The sponge dart gun I also found to be worthless past the second episode. It just doesn't deal enough damage to my liking. I can't forget that each weapon also has an alt fire, which can be switched to by pressing the D-pad. It's usually a more powerful shot, like the snowballs were turned into piss balls, where they'll deal splash damage as well. Each boy can only hold on to 2 weapons each, not counting the snowballs. So make sure you pick them up at the start of each episode or you'll be screwed. The first episode you won't have to worry about your damage output because every weapon you'll use here will feel overpowered. The turkeys really don't stand a chance against anything and are just annoying snowball fodder. And when I say annoying, I mean annoying. The second level you get introduced to another enemy type, tanks. Bigger, more health, and they spawn whatever common enemy is in that episode. If you take a tank halfway down, they'll start to run to the level entrance. If this happens, you'll have to play a small level where you need to kill them before the town gets destroyed, or else you lose a life and have to try again. It's not bad if you only miss like 1 or 2, but miss more than 4 and you're fucked, pretty much. There's not much else to say about the first episode. It was pretty boring. It does end with a boss fight with the leader of the turkeys. You just need to shoot it in the ass until it dies. It'll fall to the ground when it's low on health. Just make sure it's not stuck on a slanted platform, or else it's pretty much impossible to hit him.
That turkey didn't know who he was messing with. Hey, you guys, Kart is eating the turkey butt. I'm not eating turkey butt! You son of a bitch, I'll kick you in the nuts!
The second episode, you learn about the Big Gay Clones. They're called that because Big Gay Al was lured into some weird device and it cloned him. The clones are bigger and slower than the turkeys, and they can take a serious beating. Those snowballs that felt overpowered in episode 1, well, they're almost worthless in this episode. The clones can deal a good chunk of damage if you get too close to them, so be careful. They can also chuck snowballs from a distance. The levels in this episode are much smaller and slightly more interesting to look at, but it's very minimal. Yeah, episode 1's levels were very empty and spacious, and there really wasn't much to explore. This episode was chock full of combat, and it'd be kind of rough because there are a ton of tanks. And since the levels are small, the tanks could reach the town in seconds. I got through it though.
Dude, what the hell is this thing? It looks like some kind of alien device. Oh yeah? With that alien device? You think he's gonna defeat our Cartman? It's got another thing coming! Hey, stupid alien device! You're so tough! Why don't you... Dude, shut the up and kill it!
Oh, but it's not over yet. Clones are still popping up. The other clones are coming from this evil clone blob. Kinda gross looking. Just shoot it in the eye until it dies.
Good going, Cartman! Hey, at least he's dead!
Episode 3 fucking sucks. The enemies now are these annoying ass cows which launch you far if you get hit. They come in hordes too like the turkeys, and it can be unbearable if you miss your shot. Use the dodgeballs, it'll fuck them up. The tanks this time are UFOs which will drop smaller cows onto you. They're high up in the sky and thanks to my twitchy thumb I had a hard time hitting them. Also, these tanks don't drop health. The previous tanks did drop health, so if you did take some damage you can heal up. These guys? Nope, you're screwed. Wait a minute. Is that... Oh, hell yeah! It's Mr. Hanky. I forgot to mention the power-ups. The only notable one is Mr. Hanky, which will absorb damage, and he'll last forever until he takes too much damage. There's a speed-up which I only found useful for 2 platforming segments. Beefcake, which will make you immune to damage, but it only lasts for like 10 seconds. Oh no, not the visitors. These enemies are so fucking annoying because they're thin and they deal a fuckload of damage. The ones with the blue suits are worse because I can't fucking hit them. At least we get to invade their ship and stop them from the source.
Dude, I think there's a lot of them in there. I'm going for it. Somebody get my bag. It's gonna take more than the 3 of us to watch your back, fat ass. Hey, you guys better stop making... I'll get your fat ass in there and shut up, Cartman.
There's a couple of platforming segments in here for cool stuff, but it's so jank and not fun to play. The boss was pretty easy. He kind of reminded me of the ghost assassin from Drake of the 99 Dragons, which is not a positive. He really sucked. Episode 4, it's still going. You'd think it would have ended right after the aliens. We're fighting robots now who take forever to kill. But if you get this nifty warp array early, they'll die much quicker.
Damn it, when the hell is this gonna stop? First it's the turkeys and the asshole clones and aliens. I'm sick of all this. Whoa, dude, calm down. Just saying.
This episode is okay, I guess. We find out near the end the robots kidnapped Jimbo and Ned, so we gotta save them. Inside the factory, we fight this giant orange robot controlled by Mr. Hat. That's never explained. He really isn't too hard.
Thanks for rescuing us, Stanley.
We owe you one.
Yep, next time you're in a life-threatening situation, give us a call. Man, that sucked. Totally robots eat ass. I killed the mush robots. I killed the mush robots. You just didn't. Oh my god! They killed Kenny! You bastard!
So here we are, in the end, the final episode, and we're fighting possessed toys. The snowball actually becomes a useful weapon again because the enemies are so small and hard to hit that the old fire works wonders here. Except with these fucking RC cars, which move way too fast, and of course have the most health compared to the other toys. I like the tanks in this level, not because they were fun to fight, but because they were voiced by Billy West.
Hey, look at all the lovely toys!
I also tanked the frame rate in this level with the sniper chicken and having too many enemies spawn in. Ugh. I think I was down to like 5 FPS. This was also the point in the game I got really frustrated because of the tiny enemies and my twitchy thumb. So, I cheated. I made it through the whole game without cheats, so I'm giving myself infinite ammo and health. And I'm glad I did, because this final boss takes fucking forever to kill. The problem is he keeps going to this charging port and healing up. If you hit the button on the side, it'll stop. But the hitbox on it is wonky and you'll never hit it on an angle. If you don't make a straight shot at this button, you're never going to hit it. I was here for 20 minutes trying to kill this guy, and I just kept spamming the TNP dolls until I eventually got through it. But I did beat this boss legitimately on the PS1 12 years ago. You could take my word for it. The game ends, Kenny dies, and credits, which I think I got because I activated the cheats. So, final thoughts on the gameplay. It's alright. I don't think I would recommend it to someone who wasn't a fan of the show, however. There's way more content and overall better gameplay in other FPS games on the console like the aforementioned Turok and GoldenEye. But if you like a more wackier FPS, I think you should give this one a shot. Now, the presentation is probably one of the more polarizing things about this game. Early South Park episodes didn't have the greatest animation of all time, but there was a certain charm to it. The 3D transition it had to the Nintendo 64 isn't that bad. Now sure, if you look at it critically, it looks very bad. Most of the environments are flat and spacious, and the aesthetic mainly consists of normal everyday houses and snow. The best looking part of the game is the models for the main characters and the enemies. I think they look pretty good in 3D. If you have the expansion pack for the Nintendo 64, the game will look a bit better. I don't have one, so certain effects won't play. I did like the cutscenes though. The original cast reprises their roles in this game and they do a pretty good job. If you're a South Park fan, you'll definitely get a kick out of these cutscenes. The only problem I had was that the only other character you really interact with is Chef. You find Ned and Jimbo later, but that's only for one cutscene. Barb Radio's here too, but he doesn't really say anything or do anything useful. Overall though, for what they had to work with, the presentation isn't that bad. On the other hand, let's talk about the PlayStation version. So, the PlayStation version is pretty much the same game with some slight differences. For one, the graphics are obviously worse because the PlayStation isn't 64-bit. I noticed that some of the textures were different on certain enemies, mainly the clones who only have like one outfit. One praise I can give it over the Nintendo 64 version is I much prefer the controls here. It's all thanks to these shoulder buttons making things way simpler. I can actually strafe. I'm still not going to recommend this version over the Nintendo 64 version due to one thing: the sound. Now you might be thinking, how could the sound be worse compared to the Nintendo 64 version? I don't know. The N64 version sounded pretty good, but on this CD-based console, oh my god. How about we do a side-by-side comparison?
I'm gonna show you how to kick ass. Dude, this is great. I'm gonna show you how to kick ass. Whoa, dude, I'm good.
Also, this version has loading screens, unlike the Nintendo 64 version. If you want the best experience for playing this game though, I definitely recommend the PC version. Every problem I had with the console ports are fixed here. The sound quality is better, mouse aiming, the presentation is cleaner. It's actually really fun to play. The only problem, the music doesn't loop, so you have to keep going into the menu, turning it off, and turning it back on again. Besides that, play this version if you really want to try this game out.
Congratulations, children. The comet is gone and you saved the world from despair and destruction. Oh my God! They killed Kenny!
Dude, who's they? A safe fell on him. Well, we always say they. We always say they killed Kenny. That doesn't make any sense, though. Oh, yeah.
You farted. Somebody's baking brownies.
And now, on with the show.
Next up will be Chef's Luv Shack, which came out a year after South Park. Now this is the only game in the whole video I have not played until this review, and it's way different from what I originally thought it was going to be. Well, first off, the intro to this game is fucking awesome.
Baby, you know you're the one for me. You and me and her, simultaneous, you and me. And we know the rider. Simultaneous loving, baby. 2 or 3. Simultaneous. Woo, come on.
Alright, everyone can select in. Here I go. Anybody else gonna... Oh, right. It's just me. You don't go against any CPU players, which kind of ruins some of the replay value for me. You can choose from 2 to 8 rounds. Each round consists of 3 questions you can select from 3 categories, and after answering those questions right or wrong, you'll be thrown into a minigame. Repeat that for however many rounds and the game is over. Now, when I originally saw this game, I thought it was just going to be a quiz show questioning you on your knowledge about the show. But no. Sure, there are questions related to the show, but a majority of them are about real life things like pop culture, US history, chocolate, gay cowboys, herpes, you know the deal. The questions are delivered in a comedic way, so you'll probably get a good chuckle out of them. It wasn't long until I started running into repeat questions after 3 rounds. But that's probably my fault because I'm too dumb to answer any of the history questions. This game made me realize how stupid I really am.
That one?
Too bad, too bad.
I totally knew that answer, I just misclicked. Sometimes during a round you'll get a little bonus, mainly to try and earn more points. Double down could really help you get the lead. Well, if you're playing with other people, that is. The wheel, you can lose or gain points, or get a chance to play another minigame. Lastly, there's this event where you need to get 10 points in 20 seconds, or else Cartman gets probed, and you don't get any points if he does. But don't worry, Eric, I'll get these questions correct and you'll be A-okay. Just let me, whoops, that's, oh.
You dumbass hippie motherfucker! My damn ass is sore as hell!
Hey, get over it, Cartman. You've taken it in the ass before. You could do it again. The minigames range from A-okay to bad. All of the good ones are just reskins of other classic arcade games. Like this one where it's essentially just Donkey Kong except with the South Park skin. Same with this Galaga-styled minigame. Some of these minigames would probably be more fun if I had other players to go against. There were a couple where I was actually able to go against the AI, which made it a lot more enjoyable. Certain ones like the pie eating contest would have been better with buddies though. A few of the minigames I found to be completely unfun to play, even if I did have a friend. Like this Stampede minigame where you have to run from cows. You have to mash the A button and press B to jump over logs, and it's way harder than it looks. This parachute game where you have to keep yourself afloat and not crash into anything or you lose. I get like 5% through it until I die. This skiing minigame, which I kind of got the hang of until I hit a rock and died. Besides those 3 minigames, the rest were just mediocre. They're not terrible, but they're not anything fantastic either. This ain't no Mario Party, that's for sure. Presentation. It's okay. Unlike the first game, this game is more graphically accurate to the show, that being it's 2D instead of 3D. It kind of looks like it was animated in Adobe Flash, if I'm being honest. The voices sound pretty good, and are all of course provided by the original actors. The quality of the sound, though, makes me very nostalgic for some reason. Every time I hear the announcer, I'm somehow reminded of an old Wheel of Fortune game on the PC I played a long time ago.
South Park Cable Access welcomes you to Chef's Luv Shack, the sexiest, sultriest, most sensual game show on earth.
Weird. I don't know why I was thinking about it. Overall, Chef's Luv Shack is definitely a game you should play with at least one other person. If you're going solo, the game probably won't hold your attention for very long, unless you're a die-hard South Park fan. Out of the 3 games in this video, I'd probably recommend this one the least if it's only you playing these games.
Join us next time when we'll play Chef's Luv Shack with 4 bodacious swimsuit models. Really? You mean it? Sure, Chef. Sure.
Well, here we are, the final game to look at, and the last South Park game released on the Nintendo 64, South Park Rally. Now we're entering into the world of racing games. Now a racing game based off of South Park seems pretty promising. There's a crap load of characters and other oddities, and making a racing game is perfect for this series. Now if you're expecting a Mario Kart 64 clone except with South Park characters, you kind of get that, but not really. Let's take a look at what they gave us. Much like the first game, the intro is a recreation of the show's opening theme, except this time they're in cars. The overall sound quality sounds pretty good, but the animation looks pretty low effort. It's better than the title screen at least, which contains no music and a loud buzzing noise. Yeah, that's cool. Of course, as I always say, the gameplay is the most important aspect to me. If it's fun, I can excuse the shitty menu. But is it though? The racing in this game is unique, to say the least. I guess the developers didn't want to be called out for making a direct clone to Mario Kart, so they tried doing a bunch of things to hopefully not make that comparison. If there's something I can't do, it's that I can't call it a Mario Kart clone, that's for sure. Let's start with the movement. The A button accelerates, B brakes and reverses, the Z button uses items, and the R button is a power brake. I'm not sure about the other versions of this game, but I found the controls in the N64 version to be pretty good. Not great, but I was able to play the game and not rage at the craptastic butthole controls. It's all thanks to the power brake, which helps a lot with sharp turns. If this wasn't in the game, it would be much more frustrating to play, believe me. Let's start in this game's story mode, the championship. It's where you unlock pretty much everything, so it's best to start there. So if you played Mario Kart, or any other racing game for that matter, you know that the main objective of each race is to get in first after 3 laps, using various different items or shortcuts to help you. When you start the first race in this game, it's kind of like that. There are 4 checkpoints you will need to pass in order. Passing all 4 count as a lap, and complete 3 laps to win. It's a bit unorthodox to what you're probably used to, but it works just fine. If you're expecting the rest of the game to be like this first race, it's not. Every stage after the first one changes up the objective of each race. For example, the second race has you pick up a trophy and cross all 4 checkpoints to win. Some of the different modes you'll play will be sort of similar to each other, with some minor differences thrown in, so it doesn't feel too repetitive. So let's take a look at each one of these quirky modes and see if they're any better than the standard 3-lap race. Each race type has their own name, based off of real or fictional holidays. You can play any of these modes on any of the tracks in arcade mode, once you unlock them of course, so each mode is not delegated to a single track. The first mode, Rally Days, I've already stated was the standard kind of race with 4 checkpoints you need to pass. So instead of repeating it again, let's talk about the items. The items are found in item boxes of course, but they're color-coded. Depending on what box you hit, you'll get a random item from the box's item pool. I think this is a neat idea because if you know what items are in each box, you can avoid the boxes with items you don't want. You can hold up to 3 items at a time and get more ammo for said items if you run into the same colored crates again. You can swap between your items with the down C button, which I tried to do, but then I remembered my down C button is garbage, so it didn't work most of the time. The items are actually really effective, some more than others of course. It honestly depends what game mode you're playing at the time, which will determine most of the items' usefulness. Of course, not every item applies, and some of the items are just flat out annoying to get hit by, like Stan's dog, which humps you for 5 seconds, and you can't move, and it's annoying as fuck. The alien laser is the same way, except with less shagging, and more I wanna sing about the moon and the June and the Springer. I wanna sing it.
I love to sing about the moon and the June and the Springer. I love to sing about a sky of blue or a T42.
There are also these boxes that troll you. Saddam Hussein can remove your HUD for a few seconds. And you can also get pink eye, which will reverse your controls, which is always fun to deal with. The only item I found completely useless was the prostitute, which fills your screen with herpes. It stays there for the rest of the race, but I never really found it that annoying. I don't even think it affects the AI at all. Rally Days 2. You need to pick up a trophy and bring it through 4 checkpoints. You yourself don't have to go through all of them. Somebody else could do it for you, which means you could be a cheating bitch and steal the trophy before it hits the final checkpoint, and you win. Cow Days is next. In this race, everyone is infected with the mad cow's disease, and you need to pick up this green vial to cure yourself. Pick it up and hold onto it until your percentage reaches 0. After that, you win. It's a weird mixture of Capture the Flag and King of the Hill, but it works. Valentine's Day is an interesting mode. You need to pick up a bow and an arrow and shoot it at other players to win. This one can either be really fun or really frustrating. I do like driving full speed ahead and doing a 180 turn and shooting the other racers in the face. Both pieces can be annoying to get because if you're holding on to one and you bump into another racer that has the other piece, you both drop the piece. I just wait for the AI to gather up both pieces and knock into them. It's much easier. Spring cleaning is a mixture of both of the Rally Days races. In order to pass a checkpoint, you need to have one of the 3 pairs of underwear floating around. You can actually pick up all 3 at once, so you can be a cheating bitch on this race as well. Read a book day as you collect chickens and bring it over to the police station. Grab 10 to win. They're scattered across the track and they'll move around, so it might be a little tricky to nab them. You can only grab 4 at a time, so don't get too cocky and try to stack them all at once. Get it? Cocky? 'Cause chickens? Never mind. Of course, being me, I just camped around until somebody with 4 chickens drives right by me. I bump into them and steal their chickens just before they reach the goal. The Easter race is all dependent on RNG. You need to collect 20 eggs in order to win. You can't steal or make other players drop eggs, so it's all about being quick. The only way you can lose eggs is from these dumbass rabbits that are at certain parts of the track. They steal 1 egg each, and it's annoying as fuck sometimes. On Memorial Day, you need to collect this weird alien device and cross 4 checkpoints. It's kind of like the second Rally Days race, except you can't let other players cross the checkpoints and steal it at the end. Each racer has their own counter. Only in the championship mode it seems. This track starts to shake and you lose control of your characters for a few seconds. I know I'm on an active volcano, but it's annoying and I don't like it. Pink Lemonade is also RNG based. You need to drop off 4 lemonades at the checkpoint marked on the screen. RNG could be with or against you in this one, so I just try to camp out at the checkpoints and hopefully it'll activate right next to me. 4th of July is the exact same mode as the first Rally Days track, a standard 3-lap race. The only difference is the track you race on. Halloween is similar to the chickens race, except you need to have the most candy deposited before time runs out. My camping strat still works really well here. Thanksgiving. Oh my god, I fucking hate this one. So it's pretty much like the Easter one where you have to collect 20 turkeys and you can't steal it from anyone. Except in order to win, you have to ring this bell at the end. But why do I hate this one so much, you might ask? The RNG for the turkey spawns fucking suck. I'm cursed when I play this one because a good 90% of the time, the turkeys spawn in a giant cluster on the opposite side of the map. By the time I pick up like 8 turkeys, the other racers are almost done. Damn it. Shit. Crap. I got so many game overs because of this track the first time I played. I guess it's a good time to bring up what happens when you lose. You have 5 continues, which seems like a good amount for the 14 stages, but you'll soon realize it probably won't be enough, mainly due to the RNG races. Fear not, however, because on my 3rd playthrough, I found out you can find extra continues on each track. They're just these coins you find in random spots on the map. I used 5 continues on this dumbass turkey race before I finally beat it. Just barely, too. Look at that. Marvin was so close to beating me. I blame the map on this one. It's way too small, which makes the RNG feel more bullshit. I tried this mode on a different track and it felt a lot more fair. Christmas is like the Rally Days 2 track, except it's a present instead of a trophy. The final race is New Year's Eve. You need to pick up the key to the city and hold on to it for 2 minutes to win. It's pretty much like the Cow Days race, except the percentage bar is changed into a timer. After that, the game pretty much ends. You get a little end cutscene and you go back to the menu. Well, that wasn't too bad. Thanksgiving aside. But of course, that's not the end. You've probably noticed all of these characters I'm playing, and there's a lot to choose from. Of course, you need to unlock them. Certain characters you get just by playing through the game and beating the races. Other characters require more unconventional ways to get them. Yeah, it's one of those games where it's never clear on how to get certain things. A few of the characters you need to find specific items on each track. For example, there are 2 pot pies on the Memorial Day track. If you pick them up, you unlock the alien. Some of these collectibles are in well-hidden spots, but others are just fucking stupid. Like, how the hell was I supposed to know I can drive through this wall to get the last golden cow? Some characters require you to do really strange things during races. In Rally Days 2, only cross the first and last checkpoint to unlock Pip. In Spring Cleaning, get 5 caffeine power-ups to unlock Tweak. Hit this van 5 times with the chocolate salty balls item to unlock Cartman Cop. How the hell did anyone find this shit out? If you manage to beat the championship mode without using a single continue, you apparently unlock all of the characters. Fun fact, I did that, but nothing happened, so maybe the N64 version removed it. Well, that's all there is to the gameplay. Overall, it was alright. I think it lacks in replay value because after you unlock all of the characters, there's no real reason to keep playing unless you really enjoy the game modes. Too bad I didn't acquire any friends after the Chef's Luv Shack section, or else I would speak more highly about the replay value. The presentation has seen a huge improvement since the first game. The environments are a lot more detailed. There's a lot of space to drive around, and the draw distance isn't garbage. The characters are pretty well done, and they are of course all voiced. Lines do get repeated, but what can you do? The game is also released on the PlayStation, PC, and the Sega Dreamcast. From looking at the gameplay, each version seems pretty much identical. The PlayStation version has lower quality graphics and a really poor draw distance, but the audio quality of the voices is much clearer. Also, the PlayStation version has a few more characters to unlock, even skins for existing characters. I actually did manage to play the PC version, and as you can pretty much guess, it's the same. The only notable difference is the graphics, which are a lot more crisp. The controls I found to be a bit more sluggish and slower compared to the N64 version. PC version has an exclusive weapon, the dildo. You launch it into the air and it'll drill into somebody's ass when it hits. And yes, it's painful.
Why don't we all give our new champion a great big round of applause? Congratulations!
And now we've reached the end of the video. It was a long one, and I probably could have made separate videos for each of these games, but I wanted to group them together. I found all of these games to be average at most. The problem is that they won't hold your attention for very long, and there's usually a better game to play. South Park was a decent FPS, but the gameplay really didn't evolve too much as it went on. Chef's Luv Shack you could probably have fun with friends, but by yourself it won't be very engaging. Lastly, South Park Rally is interesting, but the unconventional gameplay might turn some people off. I enjoyed it, however. The game I had the most fun with was probably South Park Rally, and the least fun one was Chef's Luv Shack. You should probably look into more detail on which version is superior so you can have the best time with each one, if you're willing to try them out. Also, thank you for watching till the end if you did. This review took a while to make because I'm a master procrastinator. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe for more content. I really appreciate it.
Baby, every time that we kiss, hot lava. Every time that we make love, that's lava, hot lava. Lava so hot it makes me sweat. Lava so